to the Balanced Warrior podcast. This is Coach Paul Malella from Empowered Mastery. We are so grateful that you are either listening or watching to the show, whether on YouTube or social media networks. Today, I'm going to do a little solo podcast. We have Coach Chris, I believe that's still in Korea. And then Coach Mike, I think, has just got back from Korea. So they're either enjoying their time with their family, or I know Coach Chris is on excursion with Grandmaster Kim for a day or two up in the mountains, so he has no access to any devices. So that's his favorite place to be, up in the mountains and unplugging, which is great. Ironically, today it is 4th of July when I'm recording this right now. It'll probably be launched sometime the following week or so once our team gets it out. But what I like to talk about today is, I'm assuming that most high performers are going to recharge this weekend, 4th of July weekend, or maybe the week leading up to 4th of July or the week after. And I think it's really important when we talk about business stamina that we take time for ourselves. 100% you should recharge, reset, realign, and then you rally. And, this is the beginning of Q3. And most of us should be kind of doing what I call a halftime locker room report. Any good coach is going to, have his or her team in the locker room, whether it's a team or an individual player, and they're going to do an assessment, and, they're resting right now. Like halftime, you get a little break. And that's what you should be doing, maybe this weekend or for a week. And again, recharging, unplugging, doing the things that you want to do for your family or fun. And 100% I'm in congruency with that. And I will be doing that this weekend as well. But what I will say is you take this time right now and you assess where you're at. You assess what's the score. Are you ahead in business? Are you ahead in production? Are you ahead in your goals? Is it even? Are you tied? Or are you behind? And great coaches will then begin to assess, hey, what are we doing well? What's working for us? What have been some of our victories in the first half of the year, right? And then you always start with things that could stack some wins, right? Create some momentum, identify the things that are working for you, your team, your life, whatever it may be. And you always start with that positive. And then you have to assess, well, what's not working? Where can we make those adjustments and improving? Where's there a disconnect? Most people, if you were watching, some of the NBA, not that I'm a big basketball person, but you're watching some of the playoffs or the NBA finals or any sporting event, which I do appreciate to watch and see the momentum and how people shift energies and make comebacks. But most of those teams, there's two decisions that they have, right? If that team's ahead, they can take the foot off the gas pedal and kind of take it easy a little bit and have a little breathing room, or they can attack that third quarter and completely take all the wind out of that other team's sail. They can literally destroy any hope, right, that other team has, or a shot at coming back in the third or fourth quarter, and they could put the nail in the coffin. Now, the other team, that's what I've been noticing, is that when they're down, they come out really hot in the third quarter, super hot in the third quarter. That's what they do, and they do their absolute best to attack that third quarter with a sense of urgency, and really put it all out on that court or on that field or whatever have you, so they can get a fair shot at coming back and winning in the fourth. And so where are you? And, a lot of the high performers that I am coaching, most of them, that are in the financial services industry or entrepreneurs, what I've seen is trends of patterns. And what I've noticed is that most people create these beliefs in July and August that everyone's busy. Everyone's got summer break or on vacation. No one wants to speak to me. Uh, they're not going to want to sit down, and then we create these fears, right? This paralyzing belief that to kind of like hold them back from their activity and their production. And I have a different paradigm shift, because what will end up happening is the people that do lay off in the third quarter for July and August, what will happen is this: there's no activity, there's no meetings, there's no networking, there's nothing that they're doing to generate relationships and seeds for the month of July and August. And what ends up happening is by September or close to Labor Day or after Labor Day, when they're off on summer vacation, when they're done from summer vacation, then they start attacking and getting really excited. But it's not like an excitement. It's more like a sense of urgency and scarcity where they have to attack in survival mode to close out the fourth quarter. But most clients that I have that are advisors, most of them have about a 5-meeting process, and if their cadence is arguably 1 to 2 weeks in between each meeting, again, every business is different, on your onboarding into your client experience. But think about your cadence. Again, I'm selfishly talking about financial advisors here that I know that I coach in the industry. They have about 3 to 5 meetings. And if there's a 1 to 2 week cadence in between each meeting, that's arguably 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, could a buffer in there, a 12-week process before they take from an open talk to an implementation close, right? That's a quarter. There's your quarter. And when I've seen patterns, years of talking to advisors, they create this pattern of shutting down in the months of July and August, arguably, right? Not even a finger on the pulse or just some energy. And then they start waking up in September. But by the time they get things going, September's over, get on someone's calendar. Now you're looking at October, and November. But by the way, just throw December out. Literally throw December out. Like it's not even a 12-month calendar year. It's like 11-month calendar year. And want to know why? Because in December, there's holiday parties, there's end of the year things, and everyone's like out. They're done. They're shut. They're turned off, And then what advisors end up doing is they attempt to get the ball rolling in September, way too fucking late, and get people on the calendar. And now they got a 10 to a 12-week client process in their experience. And there's always things that, with underwriting and this and all these other things that are happening. And before you know it, you don't have enough time left in the game to close people out, and finish your client experience and get that production complete for the end of the year. And then they go, oh, let me just take everybody else that I have in my pipeline and underwriting and roll them over to January and start the next year really strong. And there's this pattern, and there's literally like months out of the year that they're not really being active, and that is the cycle that I see. And I want to start by reframing their mindset. I have a lot of clients that could be, have a Christian or Catholic faith, and most have a Jewish faith. And I love my Jewish faith clients, because if you know any friends or have clients that have the Jewish faith, most of them that I know all send their kids to sleepaway camp for like the entire summer. So I love when I hear them go, oh, it's so busy. I'm like, no, bro, no, it's not. You actually, you got no kids, and your friends or your clients, they got probably no kids for weeks at a time, literally weeks at a time, and so you could be reframing your mind like, hey, let's get on the calendar. Let's touch base. Let's schedule an appointment. You probably have some free time. The kids aren't around, and let's take this time while maybe your business is slow or the family life is a little slow, or maybe you are with your family. You're not sending away sleepaway camp, and you just kind of like relaxing a little bit over the summer, and their businesses are slow depending on what industry they're in. And now you have a little bit more time to actually spend either on yourself, on your finances, on whatever it is that you're providing a service, because maybe they have more free time over the summer, and they can spend that time working on themselves, working on their business with you or whatever it is that you're doing. So, and if that's not the case and that doesn't resonate to, say, your business or your industry, well, then guess what? You should be attacking some level of activity. Are there networking events that you can attack in July and in August leading into September? Are there centers of influence, COI connections that you can meet for coffee or lunch or dinner and reconnect? Are there community fairs, obviously all over the place over the summer, that you can go out to? You got to attack. Imagine a lot of the things that I've been sharing with my coaching clients is like, can you imagine you reframed your mind and you treated July as if it was January? Like that level of excitement, that level of like excitement to start the year off strong, new goals, all this excitement, fresh start. Can you imagine that level of intensity that you have or most people have in January? So you have to then start your mind to reframe like your July 2nd, or excuse me, your July 5th or whatever it is for the holiday, or the July is your new January. Can you imagine that? Coming out hot like that, creating some level of activity, some level of networking, some level of connections. Maybe you're spending the months in July and August just servicing existing clients, whatever it may be. You have to reframe and come out hot in July. It doesn't mean you can't reset. It doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the summer. It doesn't mean that you maybe take off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. You have to keep the foot on the gas pedal. I tell a lot of my clients it's not about slowing down, right? It's about calming down and still moving forward, right? Calming down, still plugging away at that activity. It's the same thing with anything, not just in business and production, even in fitness. People come out January, get in shape. What do you work out to Memorial Day or 4th of July and then not work out and not eat right and start eating like shit and then drinking a ton of booze every single day and letting yourself go? Like, that's not the way it works. It's still got to create a lifestyle of habits, of standards that you raise yourself to or put yourself to a higher standard to keep that consistency, again, in your business, in your fitness, as I'm relating specifically for, say, business production. And it doesn't mean you don't have to recharge. It doesn't mean that you don't enjoy the summer. You do, but you can't just turn off, right? Because I will see patterns of people literally turning off their business and it's way too late. And then they don't hit their goals in the third and fourth quarter, and then they just roll over and they get stuck in this hamster wheel. So what I'd like you to do is have this mindset of, okay, recharge over the 4th of July week or maybe sometime in the summer, realign, reassess. It's like a halftime report. What's working well? What am I most proud about? What has been our most successful victories or wins so far? Hey, what's not working? What can we improve here? How can I, what's not working and what adjustments do we need to make coming into this third quarter? And what's our mindset coming into the third quarter? We have an adjustment. We stick to the things that are working. We make some adjustments that aren't working and we attack, right? We come out hot in the third quarter. Again, if you're ahead of your goals, you got some breathing room, awesome. But wouldn't you want to attack that third quarter and finish strong, say by Thanksgiving weekend, and being able to take the December time to realign, celebrate the holidays, celebrate with your family, your team, reset new goals for 2026, and then come out hot again? Like, that sounds way more sexier to me personally, right? So it's always still attacking, assessing the halftime report, seeing what you have to make adjustments, and then make a commitment. I am committed to do this adjustment and this adjustment in the month of July and August leading into Labor Day, right? And make those adjustments. Reframe your mind that July is your new January. Make a halftime assessment, come out with a commitment, and attack, all right? So live life to the fullest. I hope this little powwow of a 15-minute Coach Paul exclusive Balanced Warrior podcast is beneficial. Reset, realign, and rally up. Throw any little bit of doubt or uncertainty and laziness out the freaking window and come out hot in the third quarter. Get ahead of your goals. Keep the consistency strong. Raise the standards and be better every day. Be blessed.